setting up companies. This is in Berlin a city train arc, and you know, in this arc, you know, two famous scientists at that time, Emil von Behring and Paul Ehrlich, they were setting up their serum biotech company, namely to rescue children who were suffering from diphtheria with horse serum to get them back to life. And the company in the beginning had 10 employees, 7 goats and 1 cow. And there was a long fight amongst the founders who gets how much equities. It sounds like a modern story, but I think we in Europe have become so dusty, we are forgetting about our own roots. So I think, what do we need? We need a fellow like this guy here. I think a guy who, I think in the garage of his parents was setting up Microsoft. It's Bill Gates when he was a little bit younger than today. And so what is entrepreneurship? I think one definition is, I think it's a grapefruit is a lemon who took a chance, okay? And I guess this is maybe what you have to understand. I think grab the moment you see in your research, in your educational stage, where you feel you have something in your hands and try to make something out of it. I think there are many definitions of entrepreneurs, and I think we have distinct people here in the audience who know really about how to define entrepreneurship, also it's not easy. But I think one thing about entrepreneurs is he or she is really willing to get the innovation to the people. The other important thing is, don't be too linear. I don't think our best students with a AAA in their education and having the best postdoc and PhD grades are always the best entrepreneurs. I think just if you look in the middle line, you know, once I was missing to submit an article to Richard Hudson, he reminded me to become more proactive. And I said, look, we have Bill Gates visiting at my company. I'm in the middle of the preparation of this important visit. And he was writing back, Alex, I know Bill Gates. We were both in the same class in Harvard, it's a Harvard University, but he was smarter than me. He didn't graduate. And I think this is an important message. And the message is, don't believe that I think the mostly and more increasing academic wisdom is getting you to entrepreneurship. Grab the moment when you think something can be really carried forward in the proper moment. Last but not least, and I think Poland is most likely a good example, I hear in the statistics you're ranking in the top of Europe. Many students, when asked what they would like to do in the future, should also vote before becoming an entrepreneur. In average in Europe, if you go in a lecture hall and you're asking students what they want to do with their future life, so maybe 2% saying you're becoming an entrepreneur. In Austria, still, many of them like to become public servants, okay, but I guess this is a no-go for you. I think you have to really select this route of moving forward in your life. So, where is the entrepreneur to be settled in? I think we had these fantastic introductory statements of various politicians, and I guess they already were alluding to the fact that basically we have business, we have higher education, and we have research and technology. And I think this can only move into innovation if you have the entrepreneur at the center. Somebody who grabs all these triangle edges and is integrating them in his business plan and moving with it forward. So, is it a forbidden city to become an entrepreneur if you have an academic background? Clearly not. But I guess you have also to change your mindset. This was already addressed. I think you have to come in a stage in your life and say, do I do more for human beings if I take this discovery and carry it forward? Or do I work until the end of my days on something which I solve in, which is important, increasing the knowledge of our society, but never coming to the people. It's a personal decision, but once you have done it, you can really make a difference. So there are two worlds still, and this is a dilemma we have in Europe much more than in the United States. There is a world of the academics on the one hand, and there's a world of scientists working in companies. I don't have the ambition to run you through all these bullet points. I think we make this presentation public to you. But what is the key message of this slide is the following: learn to understand each other. Of course we need people hunting for the Nobel Prize. Of course we need outstanding universities. Of course we need first-class academic institutions with good praxis. But we also should understand they have a different incentive structure. I mean, good academic people, they get around at the beginning of October when Stockholm is announcing the Nobel Prizes. So the incentive structure is, let's be honest, I think to increase the knowledge body of humankind, so it's curiosity, but let's be also honest, many of our academic colleagues, at least in the circles of their peers, they like to become famous. So that's their world. Let's respect it, but also understand them. At a company, scientists have from day one to peer up with people out of finances, people who know project management, people who know translational research, and they have to form a team. And they have to form the team towards he gets a pivotal idea driven forward in becoming a service or product. So the incentive structure is really get something to the people, and let's not forget it, to create value. In the end, it has to become profitable, it has to create revenues. So I think, what kind of advice would I feel I could give you on your journey in becoming an entrepreneur? The first question you should ask you, if you have something in your hands, really don't dilute this. Focus on your core idea and really make yourself sure about also talking to good people. And I hope that the KICS and the EIT are really, really driving an environment where this is more and more possible to get the confidence that you are going for the real thing. Why can a polar bear teach something to us? There is a field in physics which is called bioenergetics, and I think it's very interesting. A polar bear never is hunting a bird, only it's exception, because the energy it takes to get this body mass moving up to 40 kilometers per hour takes more energy, I think, than you can get back if you're hunting a bird. So a good polar bear is going for a seal, and what you can learn from this, before you start up, think how you really economize your energy. Next advice is, don't believe you know it all. I think in this triangle of building a company, you need also people from finances, because running an innovative company in the future needs money, 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 and not only money from the state, but also private investment. So very early on, team and beef up your team with people who know finances, and don't be stingy to them. I think a good chief financial officer deserves also a good stake of equities, and not only the scientist who has a proud attitude and say, I know it all, why do I need a chief financial officer? Also, take people in who have done it before. If you have a great idea in whatever field, there are kind of development engineers out in the industry who could help you to take your fresh new idea and to help to translate it to become a product. So I guess we a little bit have to go away, if you're becoming an entrepreneur, of the old historical term of the genius, which is also, if you ask me, a misconception. Giovanni, you forgive me, of the Renaissance in elevating certain people up to the heaven. I think the more you read biographies of great people, they were always building on other people. So academic people like to believe it was a single great man, and rarely women, unfortunately, doing the key invention, leading to something. It is interesting that science, for example, my field in high energy physics, has more and more grown into teams. And I think a company is really team building. And I mean, it's something about honest. Build a team around you and make the people sure that they share with you the risk, make the, so to say, deficits, which is in your knowledge, compensated by knowledge other people have. And I think really use all this by which you are surrounded. And building a biotech company or building a high-tech company also means you have to sell this concept to investors. And if you do it well, I mean, you get them investing into you money before you really are coming to the product, and they see the value faster growing than the revenues of your companies. It's a business into the future. It's something which we have forgotten. Just to give you a number, in the United States, $3.5 per every 100 earned dollars by Mrs. or Mr. America is put back into venture capital. In Europe, this is only 50 cents of each 100 euros which have been earned. So just a final, so to say, support. This I call this a 10 Ps if you build up a tech company. So you need proprietary technologies, you need patents, you need pecuniary support, you need people. In the next stage, you need platforms, you need pipeline, you need partners. And I think in the end, I think you really are coming to products, promotion, and production. And this is a little bit you have to function. And I think, please don't forget the base is the first important step where you have to come in. So I conclude here really in giving you my personal advice, and advice is always cheap and you have to find your individual way. I think entrepreneurship lessons I have to give further to you is accept the university degree, but don't think this is a gate to the world. I mean, there's much more out there. Appreciate particularly the skills and mindsets and fields outside of your study curriculum, and be always, in a good meaning, a scholar and learning from people, for example, who control finances, what you can learn from them if you build your company. Allow outsiders to become your teachers. Share knowledge with others. Don't be proud and say, I don't tell anybody because I know a little bit more. The more you share what you know in your organization, the better the organization comes. Be interdisciplinary. Don't believe being in one specific field is all. And be aware, I think OSIS functions only in a multicultural environment and not in a monocultural environment. So I think there are studies done at companies where several cultural backgrounds come together at large do always better than monocultural companies. So where is the EIT coming in? Well, you saw this chart already once, and what you can see is in a very early stage, we need really something which is, so to say, the ignition of getting the car to run, so to say, to make the engine to start. And this is the most difficult stage in innovation. Find financial support in the very early stage. So the EIT hopes, by giving money to the kicks, that we are really helping to get this critical stage, which is at the beginning of getting entrepreneurial innovation to work. Once you have started to run, it's more easy to get real money in, and you can get this in private rounds, you can get from the stock markets, you can get this by having strategic partnership with existing big corporations. But this early stage, this valley of death, where many good ideas are fading away, this is where we hope we are coming in with the EIT. So we see the EIT basically in being a high impact innovation investment fund. So what are the kicks? I have a better word than kicks because I hate abstract acronyms. Kicks are for me, and that's my personal definition, and I hope we can change this to this, they are innovation factories. So you are a group of people with multiple knots in Europe in working together and really trying, I think, to build a factory in your field, cranking out products and services on the base of entrepreneurship. So I guess I don't need to tell you what the European Institute of Technology is. I think it is basically an institution which has been set up to foster this type of innovative entrepreneurship. The EIT, with its headquarters, is more like an intelligent venture fund, helping to give you this critical seed money. It's not easy for us. We are under the Commission, and we know the Commission is following certain rules because the money is given to the Commission by the European taxpayers. So we hope with our autonomy in the next stage, we can become more and more flexible to give this money further to you. And this is something where we are entrepreneurial as well. We have to learn from you, and I think maybe we can support you in building your kicks. I think the kicks were established in 2009 to 2010. The EIT really was operatively only implemented on a rainy day in September 2008, and Daria so nicely mentioned last night, it was exactly the same day when the Lehman Brothers went bankrupt, and I guess it was funny because when we were bringing forward, Daria was promoting this really in the EIT governing board, the term entrepreneurship. Many people, people always like to mix up things, always to put everything in one basket. So, banker, entrepreneurs, they're all the same, they're all bad. So we had a lot of resistance in saying, look, we don't want to build another institute in subsidizing European first-class research. We really like to build something new in supporting, in investing into knowledge activities leading to entrepreneurship and to products. So I guess the first three kicks, I should say they are our kicks and we are one family here. I think they are up and running, and I have to say it's for me every time I see you again, it's more enjoyable. We are starting to talk the same language. I think I also see we had 3 weeks ago a festival of innovation of the climate kick, and I guess the great thing is you are a growing group becoming, if you want so, a branding in Europe, and I think, I hope, as a microbiologist, you are very infectious. I think you are really a very aggressive virus which is spreading throughout Europe in building successful kicks. Also, I don't have to tell you why we need co-location centers. Some people say, oh, co-location centers, today you can build a virtual high-tech company just having a laptop in your summer house. That's not true if you like to get people together from different faculties. If you like to get a chief financial officer, a CEO, a big company, a small company, a university researcher together, they have to meet physically. I don't think you can start a product moving forward if you just, I think, sending emails from your nice holiday resorts, whether they are in the Alps or the High Tatra or wherever they are here in Europe or in the Pyrenees, okay? The other important thing is, I think we have to become visible. And I guess, yes, we are there. We have about 18 co-location centers with the 3 kicks we have established, but just to be self-critical, I think one commissioner, and I want to quote her for this, also not quote her name, she still was giving an interview in Science a couple of months ago and saying, oh, the EIT is just another MIT. And I think this is, of course, devastating. We have to be made understood by the Europeans. So each of you is co-responsible, like in a corporate identity, to say, no, the EIT is an investment fund into innovative entrepreneurships, and the KICs are innovation factories. And we are setting up companies, we are collaborating with the big existing companies, we are getting venture money, we are building local regions, we are interacting with local governments in fostering this topic. It's important that we speak the same language. And we had yesterday afternoon an exciting discussion that for each KIC we get kind of a master presentation, like an old company presentation of a public listed company, as an EIT should get a master. So if a politician, and they like to help us, says, can I talk to my colleagues what the EIT and the KICs are, we can send you the always latest updated master presentation. Since I've been IPOing, I think some of you don't know what is an IPO. It's an initial public offering. You're flying throughout the whole world and you're selling shares, and in the end you feel like your own test animals, which we have at our company to develop vaccines, because you don't know any longer, are you in San Francisco, are you in Boston, are you in New York, or are you in Shanghai? But I think if you make an IPO, I think you learn one thing. You have sometimes to get the important message across the table within 20 minutes. Many investors already, if you enter the room and you talk to them, they look at their